Welcome back to the Caspa Silver YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Caspa officially becoming SEC resistant. So about 11 months ago, I answered the question, is Caspa a security? And in this video, I went into details on what it is to become a security, what it means, and I also explained why I believe Caspa would just never become a security because it just doesn't fit under the rules of the Howie test. The Howie test is basically 4 rules that was invented to determine if an asset is a security. So the 4 rules is an investment of money in a common enterprise with the expectation of profit to be derived from the efforts of others. My main argument is that Caspa is not really a common enterprise because it's not really a company. It is fully decentralized and open source, and pretty much anyone can work on it if they want to. No one's forced to work on it, and its success is not exclusively based on people working on it, because you can even look at something like Bitcoin. No one has really made any changes to it in a very, very long time, and it continues to grow and gain value. It's not really based on the coders who are developing the Bitcoin code. And it's the same thing with Caspa. Caspa can gain value with or without people necessarily always working on it. And that is also the same when you look at something like a meme coin. When those get launched, they have absolutely no value at all. No one working on it. People will just write a random name, put it on the market, and it will gain some value without the efforts of others being involved, so to speak, to ensure that it gains value. So those are my arguments why I believe Caspa itself would basically never constitute as a security. But we did get an official statement from the SEC on certain proof of work mining activities to clarify that proof of work mining and everything that's involved with that is not a security, does not fall under the SEC, and there's pretty much nothing they can do when it comes to people who are creating new supply of coins through the activities of mining. And this is exactly how Caspa came into existence. It's through proof of work mining. And so the SEC is now clarifying that they don't believe that proof of work mining falls under their jurisdiction. You could see here, it says it is the division's view that mining activities defined in this statement in connection with protocol mining under the circumstances described in this statement do not involve the offer and sale of securities within the meaning of a few of these different sections in the Securities Act. And then it says, accordingly, it is the division's view that participants in mining activities do not need to register transactions with the Commission under the Securities Act or fall within one of the Securities Act's exemptions from registration in connection with these mining activities. They also go on to say here, because a covered crypto asset does not constitute any of the financial instruments that are specifically enumerated in the definition of a security, we conduct our analysis of certain transactions involving covered crypto assets in the context of protocol mining under the investment contract test set forth in the SEC versus Howie, and this is the Howie test. So the Howie test is used to analyze arrangements on instruments not listed in those statutory sections based on their economic realities. In evaluating the economic realities of a transaction, the test is whether there is an investment of money in an enterprise premised on a reasonable expectation of profit to be derived from the entrepreneurial or managerial efforts of others. Federal courts since Howie have explained that Howie's efforts of others requirement is satisfied when the efforts made by those other than the investor are the undeniably significant ones, those essential managerial efforts which affect the failure or success of the enterprise. It says here, for solo mining, to earn rewards, the miner's activities must comply with the rules of the protocol. By adding its computational resources to the network, the miner merely is engaging in an administrative or ministerial activity to secure the network, validate transactions, and add new blocks and receive rewards. A miner's expectation to receive rewards is not derived from any third party's managerial or entrepreneurial efforts upon which the network's success depends. Instead, the expected financial incentive from the protocol is derived from the administrative or ministerial act of protocol mining performed by the miner. As such, rewards are payments to the miner in exchange for services it provides to the network, rather than profits derived from the entrepreneurial or managerial efforts of others, which is exactly true. The developers of Caspa are by no means ensuring that miners are making their rewards. Those rewards are set by the actual rules of the network itself, and they're not dependent on the developers making sure those rewards get put out. It's just a given that you're going to get rewarded for completing this work of finding a block and adding it to the network. They go on to say over here, for mining pools, while some of the pool operators' activities may benefit the group of miners, any such efforts are not sufficient to satisfy Howie's efforts of others' requirement, because miners primarily are relying on the computational resources that they provide in conjunction with other members of the mining pool to earn profits. To this end, a miner does not join a mining pool based on the ability to earn profits passively from the activities of the pool operator. So because of these reasons, proof of work mining is basically not a security at all. And this is exactly how all of Caspa's coins have come into existence, through proof of work mining, meaning that Caspa itself can't be labeled a security because all the coins that have come into existence were done in a way that they cannot label it a security. So this is really, really interesting to see them come out with this statement, and I'm really curious to see what they're going to say about proof of stake cryptocurrencies, because those don't actually get created by proof of work mining. Those are created out of thin air for the most part. A lot of them are created and they basically just straight up create some of the supply and allocate it to individuals, and then these individuals that have that supply use that supply to fund their operations, which basically turn themselves into a crypto company and not a cryptocurrency. And that's why for me, I personally am only interested in proof of work cryptos, because I believe proof of work is the only way to make a cryptocurrency and to actually give it value, because the value comes from real world energy from miners across the whole entire world. It has a way better backing than something like proof of stake, where the supply is pretty much printed out of thin air, and then a lot of these proof of stake cryptocurrencies have infinite supplies. So this statement is a win for proof of work in general, and especially Caspa, as it is basically making it officially SEC resistant, and we no longer have to worry about the government overreaching and adding regulatory pressure on Caspa, which also gives us as Caspa holders a lot less risk to have to worry about. I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and before we go, if you have not considered getting yourself a Tangent wallet so that you can securely hold your Caspa offline and off exchanges, they do have these limited edition Caspa wallets. There's 2,027 wallets left. If you use the code Caspa Silver at the checkout, you will receive 10% off your order. And I also do receive a commission for this, and I greatly do appreciate that because it does help support the channel. But Tangent is a great way to get started with holding your Caspa offline and off exchanges. Whenever you keep your cryptocurrency on an exchange, you don't actually own that crypto, and if the exchange was to ever go bankrupt in any kind of way, you may or may not ever see your funds again. So it is crucially important to make sure that you are keeping your assets offline and off exchanges. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new around here, and as always, don't be average, be different.